I'm Old Sneelock. I'm going to have to tell Matthew that he did a good job packaging these and they arrived on time, and I appreciate it. Let's see what's in this box. This is fairly heavy. And this came from Mike Leschner. Another substantial package. I wanted to buy some screws for the cover on the Sportfisher, but I had to buy a certain quantity. So I got a bunch of stainless steel 1/4x20 screws, button head screws. I think I'm never going to run out of them. But they arrived on time and in good shape, so I'm happy. There's the pan head screws. Those hold the recoil on. Okay. I will be able to assemble this Sportfisher engine. Because now I have the points and condenser and the fuel pump diaphragm and gaskets. Everything I need to put it together. This is the proper screw. And this hole has threads in it, but this one does not. So I need to drill this out, tap it, put a helicoil in it. So I need to drill this out, tap it, and put a helicoil in it. That took but a second. Try a little bit of this anchor lube. Now I'm pretty sure this is die-cast aluminum. Oh, looks like I gotta shake it a bit. I left it out here in the garage and it got cold, so it might have just separated. Won't take much. Only got to tap about 1/4 of an inch, maybe 3 or 4 threads. There we go, all the way through, running clean. Beautiful looking threads. Okay. The insertion tool has a little prong on the end of it that catches a hold of that bar. Lets me drive it down in there. Just like so. Well, that's not doing what I want. There we go. Took a couple of tries to get it to go. Nope, I gotta get that last thread down past the surface. There we go. Now it won't get hooked and pull out. looks like the helicoil is just a little tight on this, and this is plated, so it's actually scouring the plating off of it. We'll see how well the stainless fit in there. I bet this is made to spec, but spec has tolerancing, and tolerancing on this one probably runs a little to the high side. Quite often they thread the bolt and then they plate it. It stays within the tolerance, but it is very snug. Ran into that making armored doors for Humvees. They had every fastener coated with zinc, and it had to be hot dip zinc. It couldn't be zinc plated. It had to be hot dip zinc, and that meant that it was very thick. So we ended up with a whole lot of bolts and screws that were just unusable. They were made originally to the high dimension, and then when they were plated, they were too big to fit. And it was possible to go oversized with a tap and make the hole bigger, but then you end up with all these bastard bolts out there in the world, and some poor guy out in the middle of the desert is trying to get his window reattached, and the bolts are too loose and fall out. Not a good thing when you're putting in an armor plate. So, I had the task of telling the company manufacturing the bolts for us to go to the min on the diameter before they plated, and then they worked just fine. Now, this little catch, this little dog, they call them dogs, I don't know why, maybe because they got teeth, who knows. Anyways, this little dog catches a hold of this steel plate over here in the corner, and then up in here with a spring. It's just a single wrap spring. It's not very big. I'm making one out of a ballpoint pen spring, because all it has to do is ride on that. But as soon as the engine starts, the engine centripetal force causes this to spin out and no longer engages the starter. If you put too heavy a spring in there, it engages the starter and won't release. It just grabs right a hold. So then you have a rope starter that is going grrr, because this spins it, and then it's the rope starter spins it in this direction. These fly out and stop engaging. The rope starter spins in this direction, and then this thing gets a bit in its teeth and decides to start. Then this rotates like this, and this just goes against the rewind and wears it out. Wears out the dog, wears out the rewind. Not a good thing. So I have to make a light spring.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.